Tell your wife, tell your kids, tell everybody, because everybody's dancing out here. Top Toxic Femininity brought to you by Midnight Bed. That's right, you're just in time for the hot show on YouTube. Time for some Monday Night Raw. Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the program. I'm your MC, Tom Connors. Tonight, we have with us, returning to the program, Miss Elaine, a.k.a. Nerd Cookies. How you doing?
Hello. I'm good. Good to be here.
Yay.
That's right. She knows the recipe for making a good movie or program, much like Dune and some other ones, but... tonight, you're here to talk about some She-Hulk and Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. So we're glad to have you here because you're a bit of a Lord of the Rings fan as well, along with Dune, correct?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Those lore videos.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. I'm excited to talk about. Well, there's I love talking about Dune, and with Rings of Power, not so much, but
Not so much, but you're a fan of the franchise, but just
Yeah.
not the Rings of Power thing.
I have
Yeah.
thoughts. Yeah.
But according to a few news outlets, we're wrong. The critics are wrong.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Nina,
And evil. Yeah.
Miss Nina Infinity, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. Happy to be here. It's Monday night. We're going to be joined by, hopefully, Mandy is going to be here in a little bit. She's having internet problems, but hopefully she'll be here soon. Stephanie will be here next week because she's busy tonight editing and doing her thing, but we love her and she's going to be here next week. So I'm ready for a show, though. I'm ready to talk to Elaine about some stuff because we're just some toxic females and we're wrong about everything. So
You're wrong. You're wrong about Galadriel. You're supposed to like Galadriel.
I'm supposed to see
She should be
Elaine.
Yes. We're
Exactly.
evil for not accepting.
Elaine,
Consume. Don't ask questions.
do you see yourself in Galadriel or anyone in this show?
Oh gosh, I hope not. There's
She
no one
looks just
to
like me.
who would want. I don't know. There's some I like. I do like some. I like the actor who plays Elendil. But we rarely see him. And in this latest episode,
What happened? I liked him too, Elaine, and then he cried, and I was like,
Well,
why?
Yeah, there's so much wasted potential. You could get a good performance, a good Tolkien Middle Earth show from what the tools that they had. $1 billion, this cast I'm sure could get some good performances, but the way they did it it's pure bastardization.
It really is, and that's why I love your channel, by the way. And for those of you in the chat who don't know about Elaine, you definitely want to check out her channel because when she goes into details about the lore of whatever she's talking about, it's actually quite amazing. I mean, I was like addicted to your channel like right after Dune came out because I was like, I want to learn about all the stuff. So I like literally was just watching your videos on like for hours, just sitting there watching all the lore.
Aw, thank
stuff.
you.
It was awesome.
There's more Dune on the way.
Yes,
So
I'm
stay
excited.
tuned.
I'm so
Recorded a new one today.
See, look, he crying.
Well, speaking of Doom, we
We're gonna
finally
be
got some movement on the series. I'm excited to hear what you think about all that business when it happens too.
Ooh, there's a series. Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed. I'm a little worried about it actually.
Ooh, why?
I was wanting something else. I was wanting the story to expand from Frank Herbert's work and around the movies, the story around the movies. So I don't like prequels because in a lot of ways how they have to, oh, this is the origin of this and this is the origin of that. And that's the direction they wanted to go with Brian Herbert's book. This is how the Bene Gesserit came to be. This is where all that stuff, and that's just not. But maybe that will lead to other stuff. I was hoping we would see more from Dune Messiah, more movement from the sequels to Dune. So maybe that will be later down the road. We'll see.
I hope so, especially if like after like the Dune second movie comes out, maybe there'll be like more hype, and then they'll be like, yes, let's make more because we want more. It all depends.
Well, and speaking of prequels too, like Rings of Power is made itself the whole reason for existing is to explain the origin for Mithril and Mordor and
the origin story of Mordor.
That's its plot. And
yeah, we were talking about it with Disparu last night because I review every episode on Sundays, and he was on the channel last night, and we were talking about how in this show they basically had kind of like it's as if they had a few points that they wanted to knock out, and then they made the show based on those things, like key points. We need to show Mount Doom. We need to show Mithril. We need to show Sauron becoming Sauron at some point. And that's like, these are the things. So, and then they made the show based on these things. And of course, we need to make Gladriel the bestest ever in whatever way.
Yeah, it does feel like story by committee. And especially with the Celeborn kind of out of nowhere. I never heard her speak of her husband who's disappeared. Presumed dead. I'm sure he's bound to show up, you know.
Did you hear Lady Gravemaster's theory about who that is in the series on Twitter? That
I might have seen it.
She was saying that she thinks it's Adar, and that Adar.
Oh wait, have I seen that? I don't know. That's crazy.
She made a pretty compelling case because she was saying that, like, you know, Adar, because we like all of a sudden it's like he for some reason doesn't like see the light anymore, and he's like an elf, but we don't really know why he did what he did, kind of thing. And like she made this whole case that they're gonna make him like the husband, basically, and that he like fell to the dark side, and she's gonna bring him back, and she's gonna be like, oh, you're Celeborn. I used to love you. I forgot that you're my husband.
I mean, nothing would surprise me at this point. Unfortunately,
it's so bad.
I honestly thought it would be better than this, to be honest.
You did?
I didn't think they would I thought there would be like vague references to things, because as far as their limited rights goes, I didn't think they would be able to talk about a lost Silmaril or rewrite the origins for Mithril. Like so many foundational things they're just allowed to rewrite, and I don't understand the relationship with their rights at all. I guess the estate is just fine with whatever, apparently.
Because I've been trying to dig here. I found out that there were some big checks written to Warner Brothers, and all of a sudden Warner and New Line are now listed as production companies on the show. So that kind of scares me, Elaine. Like, I'm starting to wonder what they got out of this deal. And if that's the case, they might be able to use certain characters and events that are in the timeline of Lord of the Rings. And with them having the Hobbit rights through the Amazon MGM deal already, that complicates matters too. So I'm kind of worried myself in the whole thing. So yeah.
Well, let's get into the article that we're going to talk about. We'll let's knock out these couple of super chats.
Yeah,
that
we
came
got a
in
couple
early.
super chats to start the show with. First was Liam John Smith. Wants
Hi,
to know
Liam. Hi,
if
Liam
any of you
John.
ladies will ever join Doomcock on his streams. What do you say?
Ooh,
I'm sure if you're asked, maybe, but
yeah. I mean, yeah, if I'm asked, probably. Yeah, maybe.
yeah.
I like Doomcock. Yeah.
Doomcock's
go.
all right.
Yeah, I like watching his stuff.
He's entertaining. I like his
They
singing
did a
voice.
nod to him and She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Supposedly,
I don't
yeah.
know.
And I didn't think so much of it either until I got sent an image of what supposedly MODOK looks like in Quantumania, and then I'm like, that's a
What
little
even
on the
is
nose.
She-Hulk? I'm not following that
Oh,
closely,
God.
but what I've seen on Twitter, it's on little clips.
It's
What
a
even
mess.
is this show? Who is this show for?
It's supposed to be for you guys.
Yeah, supposed to.
Oh, that's
well,
right. Yes.
Not
What?
for me technically because I'm married, but it's supposed to be for like the single white female
Well,
living their best life.
They're going for that Sex in the City crowd, really.
Yeah, they're going for the Sex and the City crowd and the Ally McBeal crowd and the, just let's make a funny lawyer show. Single female lawyer doing lots of stuff. And she's a Hulk. that's
Single female
basically.
lawyer.
There's just so much better quality content out there for, well, I don't know. Maybe
well,
not.
There's some. Not a lot, but there's some.
They want a very specific audience, apparently. They don't want that
Clearly.
wide appeal, I guess.
Not anymore.
Poor Charlie Cox.
Especially
I really
not
liked
men.
him.
They're like, I think we're good with the men. Let's just keep insulting them and making them cucks.
But we didn't grab that one from Hillis. Yeah, go ahead if you want to grab that one. I'm sorry, Nina. I read the first one out on accident.
Oh, that's okay. Hillis Mallory has been a Midnight's Edge member for 19 months. Says, still like She-Hulk and Daredevil had a great guest spot with a hallway fight and a sniff test. Walk of shame aside, he was solid in the episode.
Okay.
I liked Charlie Cox as an actor. I thought he was okay. I watched the episode. He was actually okay for the most part. I enjoyed his his appearance. But I also didn't because I can't like that whole walk of shame thing, like actually was pretty fucking bad. Like I was like, what the hell? And I didn't like that they kind of made him out to be this, I don't know, kind of like, what are they going for? I don't really understand because it's like, are they trying to say that he's going to be hooking up with She-Hulk now, like during his show? Like, what about his other relationship with his girl? Like, it complicates things, and I'm like, did we really need this as like the end, like the introduction of Daredevil to, the MCU world as him being She-Hulk? I don't.
Well, my headcanon is just him from No Way Home, I guess, in his introduction. And I won't watch
technically that was his introduction.
But
but
I feel like the Marvel just exists to troll people now. They just
I know.
This just seems like a troll to me. Doctor Strange 2 just seemed like a giant troll, and everything they do seems to just troll their audience that they gained from the Infinity Saga.
I know.
Like, really how dare you like those people, those narcissist orphans? How dare we're
I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, are we really like, I remember when superhero stories, especially like Marvel and stuff, were about, conquering aliens and, aliens are here and they're destroying the world, or fucking Thanos, or I don't know, super baddies destroying the world and we need to stop them at all costs. And now it's like, the villain is a bunch of incels and like, revenge porn. Is that where we're really at with superhero stories?
It used to be like, I think most people like classic good versus evil stories, which is harkening back to Tolkien, which is why I think one of the reasons why his world had such high appeal. And the show wants to make it like morally ambiguous as far as you must touch the darkness to see the light. There's like that you can't distinguish Galadriel from the evil she's fighting. There's a lot of stuff like that, and it's not to where it is now morally gray. And
That
I don't
works for a
think
virus. I don't know if that works for black
Yeah.
magic though.
Well, it's interesting that you say that,
I
Elaine.
mean, because actually that goes against lore. If I'm kind of joking, but I'm sorry, Nina.
no,
But
go
no,
ahead.
remember the whole thing is remember Frodo never really fully recovered from getting stabbed with the blade.
Right.
Mhm.
And he
so I
never
would-
fully recovered from the ring either.
So why would you ever want to even get close to that or touch it? But sorry, Nina, you were going to bring up another point.
Exactly.
No, I was just saying it's funny that you say that, Elaine, because and shameless plug on my part here, but I just did a video about like the death of the hero and why like leftists are killing hero culture. So, and I talk about exactly this, like the blurring the lines between good and evil, because it's kind of like this thing now where it's happening on She-Hulk too. It's happening on like, you know, a lot of different shows where they just want you to know, like, think that like that line is being blurred, and what you used to think of as good is no longer the way it was, and why that is, like why I think that is. So if you guys want to check out my video, it's on my channel. It's a feature video on my channel.
Selfless
Yeah.
plug.
So yeah, why not? And then Nicholas Horton is sending us some doggy farting hearts super sticker.
Shiba dog.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for that. So cute. I love it. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Cute.
We like puppies here.
I love
Yeah.
it.
We got
Aw.
Mr. Tickle Trunk next.
Mr. Tickle Trunk.
Should I read that?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Nerd cookies. I'm not sub to her
Don't
channel.
mind him, he's
Meow.
Canadian.
Oh yeah. At
You
least
don't know
he's
how to
going as
spell.
Mr. Tickle Trunk for you today, Nerd Cookies, because
Thank
usually it's
you.
all over the place, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's
no,
mixed tickles trunks.
no. Mm-mm.
But yes, do subscribe to Nerd Cookies. She does all kinds of great lore videos and other videos around like Dune
Aw,
specifically and
thanks.
other stuff in that
Mhm.
region. As you can tell, she knows her Lord of the Rings as well.
She
And,
knows her
that's going to be a
stuff,
big
people.
topic tonight, obviously.
Yeah.
And then we got a member chat, and I believe we're caught up then, so you can get into the main
Let's
topics.
do
then.
it. Let's get into this conversation.
We got Salvador Cruz, who's been a member for 3 months at the Midnighter level. Thank you
Thanks,
for that.
Salvador.
Nice.
I appreciate that.
Ooh.
You know, we ain't done a puppy here in a while. Speaking of puppies, let's do Act Naturally Puppy.
Hey, excuse me. Nada. Are you doing dishes? I hope so.
So cute.
Oh, you haven't seen that one, Nina?
Oh, I've seen it on Twitter, but not on
Oh,
here.
okay.
Oh, he's so cute.
Oh, that's awesome.
love
I
that one.
love him. Oh, he's so cute.
Just
You
Act
know what's
Natural.
not cute?
It's washing dishes.
This one. This
like,
is
yep.
not cute.
This is
Um, So Nerd Cookies saw this article. Well, actually, it was the original article is by the Hollywood Reporter, which was
Yeah.
a freaking long ass article. I was like, why? Like, who cares about any
well,
of this?
to be clear, there was 2 puff pieces put out.
Yes.
One in the Hollywood Reporter and one in Variety.
Yes.
One from mainly dealing with the showrunners, and then Variety was a big puff piece on Jennifer Sulky, who is, I believe, the head of entertainment or whatever at Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. But look at that picture of Galadriel there. Doesn't that remind you of like every Alanis Morissette cover of the 90s? She looks so mad at us. Some man did her wrong, and she wants us to know.
She reminds me of Wild Girl. What's it? Wild Girls? No.
Oh,
what was
Wild
it with Ned
Things?
Yeah, Wild Things.
And those
With
weren't those about a
Neve
bunch of
Campbell.
murderous women or whatever anyway?
Yeah, it's okay. Hold on. I'll pull it up. I just have to make sure that I'm not showing anything bad from that movie because
Yeah, be careful. We might get some of Kevin's bacon.
we're good, I think. So, but this,
Yeah,
this
very
picture,
yes.
Oh my goodness. Did they just steal that?
I think
They,
so.
like they were trying to copy it because like she's so sexy. She's a wild thing. She
Yeah.
gonna tame that Sauron. You just watch.
Well,
I mean, because
well,
that's just
be-
a photo op. That's not, I mean,
well, it's what that photo
So,
represents. As you can look to
yeah.
the left there, there's a famous pool scene
Yeah.
in the film.
Yeah, they're making out. See, this is the other one. The promotion.
They have a threesome in the pool.
well, Halbrand was pretty, so
Yeah.
I guess.
How
That's
bad
enough
was it?
camel before the boob job. I'm convinced she got a boob job. But
Oh my
anyway,
God.
neither here nor there. You were saying about this whole article here.
Yeah, so this article comes out by CBR.com, which basically kind of like paraphrases everything the Hollywood Reporter wrote. And it says the Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power writers shut down the internet sexist Galadriel criticism because you can't, because it's sexist. If you criticize her, it's sexism. The Rings of Power showrunners explain how Galadriel is in tune with what Lord of the Rings creator J.R.R. Tolkien put down in his writing. What do you have to say to that, Elaine?
Well, everything that comes out of the showrunner's mouth is just contradictory rhetoric. It's used car salesman stuff. They are very cherry picky when it comes to what criticisms they're going to respond to. I don't know. I think that, but the majority of criticisms that I've seen has nothing to do with how feminine she is. It's just she's so unlikable because of just how she is, how
Yes.
she portrays herself. I don't think it matters so much as what she's wearing, but it's her whole just being
Demeanor.
demeanor
Yeah, like everything about
is the
her.
problem. So they're very like they cherry pick certain criticisms to respond to, but they have to know the majority of those criticisms are just she is not the commander. She is not. She doesn't carry herself as a leader. She doesn't carry herself as one who earns respect. And they even put that in the show itself. None of her company respected her, and
They did show the amount.
and they want her to,
Right.
and they also portray very contradictory in how they portray her. But they want her to be seen as like this warrior who, commander of the Northern Armies. She's qualified to train these volunteers of Numenor or whatever.
Mhm.
But how is she qualified? We saw how her elven company went against the troll. They just stood there like idiots. I don't.
They just waited for
So obviously her
one of
training
them put
wasn't.
down his sword for her to climb on and do a little flippy thing and stab
Yeah.
the troll. And I
So
was
they
like, well,
sabotage her themselves. I mean, you set her up. I just
Mhm.
don't believe it. I don't believe that she is this, commander who earns respect from her company, who is worthy of those like looks of awe and inspiration that we see later. When did we see that? Her company were very poorly trained, is what they
yeah.
seemed like. But it was just so they could look stupid so she could look great. And it contradicts what you're trying to do.
Well, and then in the latest episode, like, did you notice how, because they had set up, for example, like in the very first episode, the one that you're talking about, when she's talking about, like when they're walking in the snow and they're like, Gladriel, like, we need to wait because we're all gonna die in
Yeah.
the snow. And she was like, no, we're gonna keep going. And they were like, well, we're gonna die. And she's like,
No.
okay, fine, I'll wait. Like, she was like, fine, like, okay, fine, like, we'll rest for a minute. So they're like trying
Yeah.
to show that, right? And then they
Yeah.
juxtapose it with this episode where now Mount Doom has exploded and everyone's dying all around her. She doesn't
Yeah.
help anybody. So
Yeah.
the only
Babies are
person,
screaming. People are rolling around on fire. Let's leave them.
yeah, whatever. She finally sees this one kid she knows and she's like, hey, you, like, I know you, like, fine, I'll help you, like, come here. And she's like trying to like be all like kind of like motherly to him, but like,
But
I'm
my
not
friend
buying it.
Billy, fuck Billy.
You're a main character, right? Let's go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're a main character. Let's go.
Those
Like,
are just extras.
that's basically what's going on, and it's really wild because it's bad writing, but also like for her, it's like I can't even buy the fact that you're just this compassionate person all of a sudden because you haven't been compassionate at all throughout any of this show, and
Yeah.
all you've been saying was that you and the other queen are just misunderstood and no one cares about what you had to say. You're the only ones that see what's going on and everybody else is wrong. And that I'm
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? I
Just
don't know.
complete bastardization of the legacy characters. I mean, Arondir's fine. I think he's the noblest elf that has been portrayed.
Mm.
but again, yeah, that just speaks to how they're cutting against Gil-galad and Celebrimbor and Elrond, and of course, all the legacy characters are twisted beyond recognition. And it's the most is with Galadriel, I'd say. That's how she there is, and they people say that, oh, she's just having an arc, that she's not
Yeah.
who we know yet.
Yeah.
Well, she's already lived for thousands of years, as the show has even within itself has
I
said.
see it.
She's
Yeah.
born in the times of the trees before the sun was a thing.
Mhm.
So she's been around, and still she doesn't know how to pick her battles. She doesn't know how to talk to people without insulting them,
No,
especially nobility. You
she's
don't.
just she's just got a giant resting bitch face to it. It's like, can we help that? Like, there's no movie
Yeah.
magic that's gonna help this resting bitch face. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, and
I
anything that would, I know, yeah. Whenever someone talks to her, when she wasn't getting her way, was just a look of disdain, pure disdain. How
yeah.
dare you talk to me? How dare you say anything that's not yes,
Like,
ma'am, do what I say. I don't.
even in this scene, like, look at the way she's looking at him in the background. It's like,
He
why
looks like
are you
such a
so
little bitch.
mean?
Why did
I
they
know.
take her armor off her arms? I always thought that looked really weird.
I
She
don't know,
doesn't
but
have.
also when she's like burning up and the ashes, wouldn't that armor be hot? Like, wouldn't you want to?
They would all be dead. Let's just.
They would all be dead.
If anyone managed to survive, they would be severely burned. All their respiratory.
Yeah.
No.
They
But
couldn't
it's-
even breathe or talk anymore.
And why was the village
Just a
so
minor.
close? Like, if I don't remember the village being parked right next to the volcano, but
It was weird because
nothing makes
it-
sense.
it kind of was close, like, while things were happening, and then in the very last scene they show the thing again, and it's like, oh, this it's Mordor now, and it's like really far all of a sudden, and I'm like, wait a minute, this was way closer last episode, like,
Oh,
because this is when they go here and then they're like, this is the Southlands, and like, look how far it is now. It's
was
all
the
way up there.
reveal like that? Like, they think that was such a huge deal. Obviously, they thought everyone knew it was Mordor.
Yeah, and then they were like, "Oh, by the way, the Southlands is now Mordor."
Everyone knew the sigil was the map of Mordor.
Except for Gladriel, who apparently has never looked at
Like,
a map before in her
they
life.
think that they're clever. They think when it's not. You choose. Obviously, yeah, they're disciples of J.J. Abrams. They need their MacGuffins, but they're not as good as or talented as him. So
Yeah.
nothing pays off. None of their MacGuffins pay off. The sword was a
Neither
key.
does any of his.
Well, yeah, and that I can't. Yeah, I was tweeted that today about Mission Impossible 3. That stupid rabbit's foot.
I mean,
never
at the very least, that Jar Jar put out Fringe,
Yeah.
and Fringe was like, okay, like,
Well, the one time he was forced to finish something, besides, I'm sure, something with his wife, we're not going to get into. The one time he was actually forced to finish something, which was Rise of Skywalker, he fucked that up too.
Yeah, he's fucked up a lot of things.
And the knife thing was just a repeat of the map sigil thing. That's where they got the idea from, I'm sure. And so
So it's
not even entertaining on its own, even as forget the lore, because you have to, I guess.
Yeah, you have to forget, Elaine.
There's just no
way.
entertainment value at all.
Yeah. Well, as far as the showrunners go, that's the beauty of this whole thing, Elaine, that we learned from this interview, is that this is what I love about this. For 10 years, they've been working on projects that supposedly had the right cast, the right director, right title, all this business. Everything was right, but for some reason, they just couldn't get it off the ground. To me, that sounds like they're the problem. Then they couldn't get the goddamn job without getting Daddy JJ to call and put in a good word for him. Like, that's how these guys got this job.
Yeah, pretty much. But this is what the writers had to say in their defense of, well, not defense. they're like, in their defense of their crappy show. This is what they said. So they're addressing complaints that the elven warrior played by Morphet Clark is too masculine. J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay shut down detractors. We all know who these people are. Okay, the detractors. That's basically us, Nerdrotic, as all the FNT crew.
Everybody who isn't
anybody.
working on the show is pretty much
anybody that's tweeted about it. By saying they're not going against anything J.R.R. Tolkien wrote in his beloved fantasy books. Payne told the Hollywood Reporter, "I would love to see in Tolkien where it says Gladriel never went to Numenor, or should I say Numenor. That doesn't exist. Second, one of her nickname is Nerwin, which means man maiden. And third, she does not act masculine." That's a lot.
So Tolkien had to write everything that these characters didn't do, and but apparently even that is this response is ridiculous. He was very documented the history of the Silmarils. The history of the Silmarils are well documented, but that didn't stop you from injecting, oh, the lost Silmaril, the lost legend that doesn't exist. In fact, it is the origin of Mithril. Like, so that cuts against this argument. Again, very specific criticism they want to respond to. But if we're going to say, even if we say about stuff that he did write, well, he very expressly wrote what happened to each of the Silmarils. There's 3 of them. Everyone knows what happened to them. It's called the Silmarillion for a reason. So even that didn't stop you from changing the history. There is no lost Silmaril. And
well, he goes on to say other things. He goes on to say other things. McKay followed Payne's comments, which counter-argued to the sexist critique of Gladriel's warrior status in the Prime Video series. The name Gladriel is loosely translated in Elvish as a maiden with a crown of golden hair. That just means a person who has golden brown hair. The reason she had a crown of golden hair is because when she would fight and do all sorts of sparring with other elves, so she would braid her hair and put it up on the top of her head to stay out of the way. So in the etymology is the idea that Gladriel is a warrior. This is a lot of headcanon, man. Is it not? Is that specified, Nerd Cookies, in the Silmarillion, that she braided her hair to put it out of her face when she's kicking ass?
It's not. None of
She's
this.
the sparring
She's
queen.
not a commander. She's not. She never went to Numenor. These things are facts, and they're just trying to pull like obscure references from probably source material they don't have the rights to begin with. There's a line from the Unfinished Tales. She has the eye of a commander. Well, that doesn't mean she's a commander. She's just looking with the eye of the authority of a commander. That's what that means. But it's a lot of little things like that they. It's very frustrating to justify their absolute bastardization of this lore. The more I think about it, the more I get upset.
The funniest part of this article is that the showrunners, however, are convinced that the prequel series will win over skeptics in the end. So we have one more episode to be won over, you guys, with McKay adding that the next season of the show will be bigger and better on every level by an order of magnitude. Yeah, fucking right.
They actually said this season was the most action they've ever seen in a show ever. That is a line they actually said.
Okay, be honest with me, Nerd Cookies. How many times have you fallen asleep while you're watching the show?
Oh man. It's morbid curiosity that keeps me awake.
I've literally fallen asleep on every single episode. Maybe not one, because I watched
can't
it like
decide
I
what's
almost
worse.
fall asleep from you guys talking about it.
I know, and it's like I don't like talking like this. I don't like railing against. I want to talk about the show in a way that was exciting. And because Tolkien's world is so exciting, the stories within it are epic and grand, and beautiful and relatable, and it's why they are the way they are, why they are so beloved to so many.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
just to see it, what they've done to it, and just how their justifications for it are just, it's
it's so sad. It would have been so fun to like talk about a good Lord of the Rings series. It would have been so
Yeah.
fun to talk about.
No, and I understand where Elaine's coming from. No one wants to dislike something, especially in a franchise they love,
Mhm.
or it's supposed to be a franchise they love. But you clearly spent
Yeah.
the time on this, Elaine. You have the right to
Yeah.
say what you feel about it and let it out. I mean, there's
Yeah.
that too, you know.
I
And them to try and say that we don't is a bunch of horse.
Mhm.
Yeah, and even those that they're attacking not just war fans, obviously. Anyone who has any issues, and obviously there's many issues. There's pacing issues, there's the way they jump around, there's no
The
sense of
time?
scale or
Yeah, there's no
time.
time. Yeah.
It's very poorly done in every aspect. There's nothing I can point to even to say that, well, at least that's entertaining, or that nothing makes sense logically
Well,
from a narrative
dude,
standpoint. Nothing
El
pays off. Nothing
Elaine,
satisfying.
I liked Disa, and I was like, you know what? Like Disa and Durin, the first couple of episodes or whatever, like I was like, they're the best part of the show. Like so far, they've
I
been
did
great.
like the first. Yeah, I like that scene where you first see them. It's fine.
Yeah, and they're like they're fun. Disa's nice. She's like, she loves her husband, which is rare to see nowadays. She loves her kids. She's
I
like a
thought the kids
mom.
being off camera was
Yeah,
very silly,
that
very
was stupid.
sitcom-y.
I mean, it was really dumb, but hey, whatever.
But
And they're
yeah,
singing like the secret fucking thing that you need to get into that passageway, which was so stupid. But
yeah,
that aside, Disa's character was fun. Like I was like, oh, this is getting fun, whatever. Like, and I was really critical of her at the beginning because of like the actresses like the way she was speaking about herself and everything like that on
yeah.
social media. I was like, oh, she's probably going to be the worst one, and she ended up being the best one until the last episode, which basically she became freaking the emperor all of a sudden. And she's like, we're gonna rule
Yeah.
them all, and I was like, what the hell happened to Lisa? Can you explain to me what happened to that?
Yeah. Yeah, the progression of the story is very satisfying and very it doesn't make sense. A lot of these characters' decisions. We don't spend enough time with any one group to really get to know anyone for there to be any real. We spend the most time with Galadriel, and
Yes.
most of her character progression apparently happens off screen. Because all of a sudden, the next episode, she's counseling others on humility and not to be wishing death to your enemies, the orcs.
Well,
What
that's
happened to you?
that's what they were
How we
setting
met.
up, like, right, Elaine, in the last episode when she's kind of like talking to the little boy, and he's like saying like, I should be blamed because it was because of me. You guys, they set off the stupid Mount Doom or whatever, and she's all like, trying to relate to him and be like, I understand that you feel this way. I thought I was bringing the dark, and like I don't know, like
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about, like that scene as a shoot. It was like as if the writers were trying to make her kind of like empathetic towards that kid, but it just didn't come across as that to me. Like I'm just like,
No. And they
she's
kept
always
ripping off scenes and dialogue from Lord of the Rings, a much more superior story.
yeah.
Well,
the
thank you
scene
for
was
reminding
ripped
me of
off.
something that's so much better than what I'm watching. Yeah. I'm gonna go
Dude,
watch that now.
the scene was ripped off too because it was like literally that scene with the hobbits are like hiding from the Nazgul and they're like looking up, and I was like, this is literally
There's
the
so
scene.
many things like that. And I know in the next episode we're gonna have a Isildur coming on his horse, Aragorn style, into Helm's Deep. And
It's
it's so predictable at this point. And
in the worst ways. I'm trying
and
to pinpoint that scene because that was
and it made me wonder, why did the random orc do this random cut on the horse during the battle scene? And that struck me as weird at the time. Why did he do that? And now we know, because they think we're so stupid, we're not going to know which horse is Isildur's.
right.
The writers think that we're as stupid as they are, apparently. No one's gonna know this horse is a Isildur if we don't mark it somehow.
Right.
With this.
Oh my god. And then there was also this bit here, like in the episode, where I was like, wait a minute, what? Because they kind of like covered the lady's eyes when she went blind, quote unquote, because they were saying like, for whatever reason, I don't know why they didn't want to like kind of do any work for her eyes or something. Because hold on, let me bring this up, because it was so bizarre to me that even though they were saying that she was blind, she still had her eyes, and I was like, well, shouldn't her eyes be like grayish now, because it's like she's gone blind, so but her eyes looked exactly the same, and I was like, this is easily solvable. Like either if you wear contacts, or if you don't want to wear contacts, you go to post and you like just gray out her eyes. But then they're like, nah, we'll just put a freaking cover all over her eyes, and then we don't have to do anything. See what I mean? Like her eyes here, they should be like gray because she's blind now. And this entire area it should be like charred and black, and her eyebrows shouldn't be there anymore because she got fire in the face. Like her eyelashes should be gone. It's just the little things,
There's a lot of little things.
There's a lot of little things that add up into this giant ocean of there's so many things wrong with the show. It's not us just being sexist about Gladriel, fighting like she's
it's just it's a poor attempt to justify their sorry, my cat. As just an example of they're trying to justify there is no justification for the changes they've made. They've tried to say that it's the compressing the timeline because we don't want to do a documentary style of 1,000 years of history, or 3,400 years of history, sorry, into a series. You're not going to meet important canon characters or whatever reason that they gave. Well, what then is the reason for switching all these events around? The rings aren't even forged by the time is sealed. It's just everything is also mixed up as well. They don't want to touch on that part.
How do you name a show The Rings of Power and we haven't even seen or heard of a single ring or anything other than basically some of these people like to build things like Sauron. Well,
I don't know. They liked how it's the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power. It doesn't even roll off the tongue well.
They should have just called it Gladriel. Because that's what they wanted to do, right? Or like Mordor. Maybe they should have just called it Mordor because that's the show was the origin story of how Mordor came to be. I don't know, but it's and
they have the same justification for like, well, why does that mean that you're just inventing a system for a Isildur? Why does the huge timeline of the Second Age have anything to do with that? So why make that change? It has nothing to do with your limited rights. It has nothing to do with you compressing events. There's so many decisions like that. The concurrent Durins. Why do you need this lost Silmaril thing? The origin for Mithril. There's like, why? It has nothing to do with whatever justification that you're trying to pass off. And it's just, they're trying to sell you a lemon and make you think that you're crazy for not liking it.
That's exactly what they're doing, Elaine. And it's just it's so frustrating when you're just seeing like all these different, like all these little things that we're talking about, and then they kind of gaslight you into thinking like, no, you're the problem. Like it's not, don't believe your lying eyes, because that's not what you're saying. It's like they're trying to pull that like the Jedi mind trick, like we're very competent and what we've created, and you're like, this is not what I'm seeing here.
That's exactly it. That's exactly what gaslighting is. And same thing with their, you're evil if you don't, just because they have a theme of disparate groups coming together in friendship. I don't even agree that theme is dominant in this series. But even still, if it was, does that exempt you from criticism? No. Like, be honest, you're at the helm of one of the most beloved IPs, probably the most. And so, you're going to get heat. And anyone who says anything about pacing, timeline, character progression is evil. That's gaslighting.
That's literally gaslight. You know who is evil though? Let's face it, Elaine. Who really is evil in this show is the Harfoots. They leave their people behind when somebody breaks
exactly
an
like
ankle.
that. Like the theme they were saying, they injected into every comma and period into this was the theme of disparate groups who don't look like each other coming together in friendship. They were literally ostracizing a group of lame, orphaned women and children just because there was this big guy with them and there was no food around wherever spot they decided to camp. So let's just, condemn them to death. And these are supposed to be the ones you root for. There's more loyalty and sense of community and brotherhood among the orcs. And again, that's another thing with blurring the lines of good and evil. Like this, if there was anything that Tolkien wasn't, it wasn't morally ambiguous.
That's actually a lot of things I've been hearing from the different voices too, is exactly what you just said, is that a lot of people are like, hey, Adar actually seems to be like the nicest person and, actually cares about the orcs versus like the Harfoots that don't actually care about anyone and just, it's like even their leader ditched the entire group after their food burned down and was like, you know what, I'm out. Like, I'm just going to abandon you guys and I'm going to go with these guys. I'm going to go hunt down the wizard for whatever reason, even though I didn't like him to begin with. But you guys have no more food, so I'm bouncing. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
And those are the heroes that you're supposed to root for.
And then, and she too, like the main Harfoot girl, like he just makes magical food for everybody. And then the next scene, she's all, I don't know why I saved him. I shouldn't have saved him. I should have just let him die. And I'm like, what? He just saved your entire family because they were going to leave you behind because your dad broke his ankle. And then he saved your entire village, gave them food and brought back life to like the destroyed forest that for some reason, there was like 5 trees burned from Mordor exploding. And now let's abandon him. Like, what?
Yeah.
They're
And that's
hippie
why
hobbits. What do you expect?
and that's why I think general audiences too aren't responding to this because nothing happens. A bunch of the stuff just gets recycled. And so same thing where he tries to heal himself and Nori got injured in the attempt, like something similar happened in the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
And just the same things keep happening. And even with the priestesses, the cult Sauron priestesses, I think
that's what they are.
We finally see them after they were teased in 2 episodes ago. Yeah. Finally see them for 2 minutes probably on screen and don't say a word. They were looking for Meteor Man / Gandalf, who knows. And they're still looking for him. They're still on his trail. So again, nothing moved forward.
Yeah.
So that's why general audiences aren't liking anything. Nothing pays off satisfactory or in a satisfactory way.
No. And I mean, they're just weird looking. And that was the other thing. It's like they're leaving. They didn't realize that these people were there. And all of a sudden, Nori's like, they went that way. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you freaking bringing attention to them? There's so many things that makes no sense in this show. Like when she's at like the fat ones at the freaking river, and she's like, she sees a footprint, and she's like, oh my god, like there's some sort of enemy here. Like I gotta run and hide and tell everybody, but I'm gonna leave my giant bucket for them to find. And I'm like, are you serious with this?
There's a lot of things like that. Just
it's a
just
bucket of bullshit.
But they said it's too big to fail, and so
it's funny you say that because I was asking that question for a while. I've been asking everybody. It's like, is that what we're seeing here? And I think that's kind of the case with a lot of this, these articles that you guys are going through right now, and this trying to save face businesses. Yeah, I think this is a show that is so knee deep in money and expectations and all kinds of other things riding on it that it's too big to fail. They can't admit its failure. It's kind of like Batgirl only times 10. or even 100, whatever.
So much worse. Yeah, it's just
Aw, thank you.
at least Batwoman or Batgirl got canceled. Like we need this is if you're gonna cancel anything, this is the show that should be canceled. Like I don't understand why
Yeah.
That's
Jeff
the thing is,
Bezos-
I don't think they can. They have to produce 50 hours
Yeah.
of material.
Mhm.
They have
They're contracted in.
contractually obligated to. Yeah.
They had an option for a spinoff, and I do wonder if that's actually going to be a thing.
No way.
I don't know if
spin-off of
that's
who?
available anymore because didn't Embracer Group or have the rights now for television and film?
Ooh, I have no idea. Tom, do you know about this? I don't.
Sorry, what was the question again? I got distracted for a second.
The rights are now like Embracer Group, I think is what just acquired Lord of the
Yeah,
Rings.
they
and
bought them
Hobbit.
from the Saul Zaentz company, but
Mhm.
that doesn't change anything that's already been outstanding. And that's why they got
No,
such
yeah.
a deal on it, is because
Yeah.
when when Saul Zaentz went out there and said, "Yeah, we're putting all these up for sale," and then like they were kind of asked, "Well, do you actually even have the rights to do anything right now with Lord of the Rings?" "Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure we do," and then they find out, no, Warner's is like, "We still have the rights to that. We have a movie coming out that's going to extend the rights." So basically that
Mhm.
puts it in a position where nobody can do anything with it outside of Warner for the next probably 10 years, I would imagine, is the general extension of these type of rights issues or rights deals when they come into becoming an issue. So that's why Embracer got a hell of a deal on this, because not only did they buy the Token properties, they bought up a bunch of other properties at the same time. They got a hell of a steal on them.
Dang, that's a
Like, I can't even believe Amazon didn't pony up enough for that much just for the Lord of the Rings franchises. But I'm thinking that the group didn't want to split them up. They wanted to sell them all at once. So,
Mm.
but yeah, again,
Yeah.
I'm still looking into a lot of that. There's a lot going on in that. I've even had Six looking into it for me. She's been doing a lot of research into it. We got a big video we're hoping to do at some point. It's going to kind of explain all the
Nice.
rights, but we don't know
Yeah.
how well it'll be able to explain everything. But yeah.
Yeah.
That would be
Well,
interesting. Though.
But some are saying that the rights are fluid with the or at least what they can say with the estate. Any ongoing negotiations is like as far as what they can use. Like the term Anatar is not in the appendices, so whether or not they can use whether or not Anatar will actually be featured under that name, at least Sauron under that fair form, is I'm very curious about. I have no idea. I don't know if there's a fluidity to that, but it obviously just seems like they can just do whatever they want. To me, I don't.
It seems like they're taking all the liberties
Yeah.
that they want. So I
The
don't
Lost
see.
Silmaril, when they said that, and when there's just, oh gosh, that's a huge thing, and it is well documented too. So it's nothing to do. Oh, he never said this didn't happen, so it's nothing to do with. Yeah,
I
so.
just think it's hilarious that the Silmarils aside, I just think it's hilarious that they would just drop like her husband's name.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh
just,
yeah, I lost my
by
husband.
the way,
Never mentioned him until this now.
Not in the freaking prequel where you're setting up your main character and what is driving her. Why is she so crazy, hell bent on getting this dude? And they even show the brother, but they don't show him dying in battle, even though we're like kind of shown that he's dying in battle, but then technically Sauron kills him. And then you're like, but the cut, like the editing doesn't make any sense. The dialogue doesn't make any sense. We don't even hear his name until like the 7th or 8th episode. This is this latest one. I forget which one it is. And then we're finally
7th,
told that
yeah.
it was Finrod the whole time. I'm like, they don't do anything. It's just drives me nuts. I don't understand how these people have a job. It's crazy.
That did seem like it was. I know they did reshoots, and that they said they were rethinking whole scenes and characters, and in those reshoots, and that does feel very tacked on. Like why wouldn't she never mention at all in her quest for Sauron? Because that's like the whole thing of her character, her whole reason for being. But
No.
it was just her brother apparently. Like who cares about her husband?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? That's actually on point and on message. Is they really don't want to talk about the nuclear family, and they don't want to talk about that kind of stuff. That's why I was surprised about Disa, because in this case, they're like, oh, she doesn't have a husband, like she doesn't have children, like, you know, which apparently Gladriel actually does have children. She has a daughter. So she's not a mom, she's not a wife. You know, she's just some woman that's just hell bent on, you know, becoming this warrior crazy person that, you know, don't need no man. And she can change Sauron. She don't need no man.
Oh, yeah.
She can change.
We'll
She's
see when that
twice the
actually
man
comes
any
out.
man is. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm excited when they reveal that it's Sauron. It's
That'll be
obvious at this point,
hilarious.
but
It's so fun. It's gonna be hilarious.
That has got to be some lore breaking shit beyond lore breaking shit.
Wah,
yes.
wah.
Yes,
Well, and
that's
that's what
why
I
I'm holding
agree.
off for part 2 of Galadriel and my bastardization.
And that's why I agree
No,
with
it's
you
gonna
on the
grow.
whole prequel thing, Elaine, is because another thing is what they do is somebody brought up Mikey Spock earlier in the chat. That's a perfect example of one of the things I hate that they do in prequels. Not only do they have to fixate on characters that we already know, they have to always extend the family of characters we know by giving them a husband or a brother or a sister or somebody we never knew of before. And it's like, and all this time we knew this character, they never mentioned this individual. You know, you already pulled it once with Spock. You did it to him again with Mikey Spock on top of it all. Like, it was bad enough we had to buy Cybok. I mean, now you got that too. Like, whatever.
What Heather is saying here, Tom, is so important. It's like Gladriel's daughter is Elrond's wife, mother of Arwen. I mean, I feel like that's a bit of an important factor.
It sounds like a pretty noble title to me.
I don't think I don't see how she can be in this show, Calabrian. So I don't know. I don't think they're going to introduce her husband until later. And then, of course,
it's like some Captain America shit there.
I
Anyway,
like this sweet and Sauron. I like that.
He is kind of like one of those little fucking Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah.
He was so sweet at first, and then he turned into a jerk.
Oh my God, Elaine, one last thing about this last episode. What, like, because speaking of Sauron, so he's like all hurt.
Yeah.
Hurt.
Off screen.
Yeah, off screen, because I'm pretty sure he stabbed himself, because it's like, what the fuck? So he's like all hurt or whatever. And then the healer chick comes in and she's like, me or any of the healers can't do anything for him.
Well, she's been pretty useless this whole time. So
the entire time
that was a healer.
Completely useless as a healer. She still hasn't figured out why the cows got poisoned, even though that was like her entire fucking journey. She was like, I'll go figure out why the cows are given black milk, and then they never figured it out. But he's
on his deathbed, and he's on he looked pretty fine on his horse later.
That's what I was gonna bring up. He, like, all of a sudden it's like he's fine. Like,
I got my second wind. It's just a scratch. It's just a flesh wound.
If he gets on this horse and starts galloping away as fast as Gladriel does, dude, his guts would be out. Like, they're
going to Linden, right?
Yeah, they're going,
which is far away.
Well, I
don't know the exact, but they'll just quick travel there. I don't know.
Wait, are they going to Linden or Rivendell? Wait. Which one was Elven Kingdom? That's one of the.
Well, I assume where Gil-galad is where they're gonna go.
I think that's where they're going.
Is Linden.
Yeah. Linden. That's where.
And then I'm sure next to Eregion for Halbrand / Sauron.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Persian girl, which I can finally see myself in. Persian girl and baby daddy, who has not been revealed to be baby daddy, because what we know is going to be baby daddy. They're going to go to some town in Numenor or something. They're like, we're going to go start fresh. I was like, what? They're just going to go to some town near Numenor for whatever reason. None of this makes any fucking sense. I'm like, what? That's your story?
It's just to have another origin story, I'm sure, for what will be Gondor, maybe.
Oh, is that what you think it is?
Yeah. Because that's all that this is this is how this happened, and this is but it's in a way that's completely boring and contrived.
So who is a baby daddy's son, do you think? Like meaning like
I have
do you-
no idea. I don't
I
really
'cause
care.
I think that kid is his son, but I don't
mean,
know
we
who I
yeah,
don't
we
know who
haven't
he's
seen his
gonna end up.
ears. I don't know.
I think that's gonna be revealed, but I don't like who is he gonna be though? Because they made a big deal out of making him into this like warrior now because she gave him her sword and she's like, "You're gonna be a warrior now," and he's all like, "Okay,"
You're
but I
gonna
don't
be a
understand
real
who the fuck
boy.
he's supposed to be.
Look, they're same height. Oh, this is so frustrating. I actually
Like,
think she's a little shorter than him.
I was gonna say that makes her look really fucking short right there. You're right.
Ugh.
yeah, because she's ahead of him. So, yeah, he's
I mean, it
supposed
was
to be
one thing
tall.
when she's standing next to Halbrand, but just look.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Like
She looks like a
anything-
little kid there.
I have
That's
nothing
pretty bad.
against Morphic Clark. I don't. This is what they cast you in, and it's work, you know. But
You know what's crazy is Elaine, usually I'm really nice to people too. Like, I'm like, oh, she's doing the best she can with what she's been given. But in all honesty, I think this chick sucks. Like, I don't think she did her best with what she's been given. I think she
yeah.
sucks.
bad direction and bad writing though can be very bad for for an actor. Because I've seen some pretty poor performances out of some good actors.
Have you seen her in anything else?
I think she was in Saint Maud. Is that what it was called? Saint something like that. But I haven't seen it. But that's what she was in.
Script, you should get your butt in here.
Yeah, come on here.
You're more
Script.
informed than I am.
Because Script actually was supposed to be on my stream last night talking about this episode, but unfortunately,
Oh, you're fired, Script.
He fell asleep.
Did you hear the disdain in my voice?
Oh
I'll send him a link. I got it.
Did you get?
If he's
Okay.
able to make it, no pressure, buddy. If you're not,
What are you talking about? I'm pressuring him.
you can pressure him all you want.
I'm pressuring him. I'm applying. Oh wait, it's Canadian Thanksgiving. I don't know if you can make it.
Yeah, but he was on the show this morning. But if he's doing stuff with his significant other, I don't want to.
Speaking of which, happy Canadian Thanksgiving to all the Canadians in the chat. Happy Gobble Day. We love you.
Happy
love
Thanksgiving, eh?
Happy Thanksgiving, eh? Did you hear what Lizzo said today? I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god.
She thinks
No.
Canada wants her.
Yeah. You didn't hear it, Elaine? So
No.
do you want
This
to
is
know? Because
funny.
it's funny.
Sure.
It's funny.
Can use a laugh.
She basically she got annoyed because Kanye West went on Tucker Carlson and talked about her. Like he brought up the fact that like she's basically like a lol cow and not in so many words. Like people are laughing at her because she's like fat. So basically, like this is what happened. So HuffPost says Lizzo used her Toronto stop during her special tour on Friday to seemingly address Kanye West's comment, blah, blah, blah. Let's get aside from the fact that whether it's a fashion vogue, which it's not, if someone thinks it's attractive to each their own, it's actually critically unhealthy, West said. And then she said in her response, Lizzo expressed her desire to stay in Canada. I feel like everyone in America got my mother effing name in their mouth. In their mother effing mouth for no mother effing reason. I'm minding my fat, black, beautiful business, the pop star said. My God.
No, she's just writing a song. That's all.
Well, I said I think she just wants all the maple syrup.
This is true.
Well, I mean, I don't know how the conversation with Kanye's I don't know his name anymore. Was
He's
he
starting
asked
a bunch
about
of shit.
Lizzo specifically? I feel like I don't know. I don't know. This
Then again,
person.
he's been
I don't
out
know.
there lately, just starting fires left and right.
Yeah, he is.
Like he's just been like
started
on
a
a
lot of
burning
fires.
tour. He's pissing everybody off.
But
Oh,
it's
just
also
such
funny.
drama.
It's also funny because the HuffPost piece is called Lizzo brings down the house with the epic clapback. And I'm like, I don't know if you want to call it brings down the house.
I love that everything is so exaggerated in headlines these days. Oh, how epic. Oh, the clapback. It was the most epic clapback that ever existed.
I think she's referring more to her size in general. I mean,
Script. Hi,
Script doctor. Now I can go to the back room.
Oh,
Oh my
Wow.
God. Tom.
Hello,
We're only
everybody.
allowed one man on screen during the show, or we break rules.
Well,
that
I
don't
think the rule is
know
one straight
actually
white man
exist.
on stream, right?
Ooh.
That too, we're already in
Hey-oh.
violation of so many problems already.
God, I mean, you guys are just so sexist. Like, I'm so over
mean,
it.
I've eaten enough today for Thanksgiving that I could be considered pregnant.
Oh,
That helps.
Well, if that's the
That
case, then
does
I can
help.
stay on here then.
Yeah, you can
I'm
stay
just
on
kidding.
here, Tom. You should stay
I
on.
ain't been saying much anyway, because to be real, I've only watched 20 minutes of this show. Literally just the first 20 minutes. And
That's all you need.
the moment Elrond was sitting in his tree, sitting around writing fucking poetry, dreaming of Galadriel, I'm like, nope, fuck this shit, I'm out.
I mean, I wish I.
Elrond's supposed to be a badass motherfucker who walks in the room and you're just like, okay, I
He
gotta respect this dude.
cried. He cried in this episode, Tom.
Oh,
He-
fuck no.
he
No.
cried.
He
He
did.
did.
Yes, he
Oh, which
did, and
part?
it was really
He's
gay.
Agent
When he-
Smith, for fuck's sake.
When he got kicked out of
When he, yeah, when
Khazad-dûm.
Does Elrond even have feelings?
it was when yeah he got kicked. It's right here. I
Right when he
got it.
sat down in front of the doorway, right?
Yeah, right when he was like looking at the mithril in his hands and he starts crying, and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
I mean,
This
he's
is-
a pretty. I mean, I'm
Wait,
joking
he had
about
the
the whole
mithril back?
thing, but in all
okay. I
seriousness,
got the scene.
though,
I got the scene where he's crying. Here
like,
it is.
I just don't get it.
He's got tears in his eyes.
Oh,
It's because
missing
he's in
out.
this fucking
Okay.
show.
He's like,
I
When
mean,
a father gets in between two lovers.
I did enjoy some of the chemistry, I guess, like from the beginning with Durin and Elrond and Disa and all that, but it's got so monotonous, and the motivations for everyone was very murky. And the actor that did King Durin is cool, I guess.
yeah,
And
I liked him too.
but again, like the driving force of the plot was about this, well, MacGuffin thing, the mithril, and the entire season has been about whether or not to dig for it or not. And it's a literal transference. The fact that it's a literal transference of its light to the elves, oh my goodness.
Oh my god, they could just lend them some. Like I was saying during our stream script that like they could just make like the Elven King like a staff out of mithril, and he could just go around and like wave it at the tree, and then it'll be fine apparently, because it doesn't lose its light, it doesn't do anything, and then they'll be fine. Like they
Well,
don't.
we haven't even figured out what the dose is that cures it. Like that one sliver that he was given before, they could have just like hammered that into the tree,
And
cured
then
the
they'll be
tree, and then
fine.
problem solved. Don't even have to dig for it. But we don't know the rules of this because, God forbid, you introduce an idea and don't give us any interesting aspects to understand how it works or why it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand the concept that the king has, like, oh, it's dangerous to mine because it's so deep and the rock constantly crumbles. I'm like, okay, that's cool. We already got a very poorly executed example of a cave-in off screen to hit us hard with that.
Mhm. That
And
happens
I'm like,
a lot.
okay, yeah,
Stuff happens off screen. They have to explain later in a boring way.
With
I
that
like how
type
they
of
just
budget, you
break
should
a
never have anything
hole.
off screen. Nothing should ever be off screen with that type of budget per episode.
I just thought it was hilarious how they just broke a hole into the fucking wall, and then it's like, oh, there's all the mithril. I was like, really? Like that's how you're gonna find the fucking mithril? Like,
Yeah.
in a
And
hole?
now
That's
the
it?
elves are responsible for what I'm sure will be Durin's bane at some point.
Look, there he is. He's like,
That
oh,
should not-
there's all the mithril.
And they said they had enough stuff happening in the second age. They wouldn't touch the third age. Ugh.
Can we get you a
Just
leg script?
every time they come out and say something, they just immediately contradict themselves, and then just
Yeah.
hope that we won't notice, and they get mad at us for noticing.
Did you feel anything, Elaine, for that friend of wait, not Elendil, Isildur's that died? Because he died.
No. I felt more for the head orc that died, that first one. Jeb
Aw.
Brophy played.
I felt more for the burning horse. I was like, oh, that horsey's on fire.
They're doing it wrong. If I feel more for the orcs and
Like, if they are doing it
Eldar than I do for Yeah.
Oh my
And
god.
see, I don't mind slow burn shows.
Neither do I. I love them actually.
I feel like Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 1, that's an example of like kind of a
Yes.
slower burn. It's building the world at first, and
Mhm.
so
It's
yes,
got some
that's
heat. I mean, that's the
yeah,
thing. It has heat. You need the heat for a
yeah,
slow burn.
Well,
Rings
and
of
yeah, yeah.
Power is it's
the
in that
thing
sweet spot where it's not cold enough to burn you like an ice freeze, but it's
This-
not hot enough to even move along at
yeah.
any pace.
But what they're setting up doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. They're making their own mythology because they're redoing Tolkien's mythology in a lot of ways. So what's left, they're just kind of reimagining themselves, and they don't have the talent to do that. I'm sorry, they do not. Denis Villeneuve was a critically acclaimed filmmaker in his own
Mhm.
right, way before he even became what a noted science fiction filmmaker.
Yes.
And even then, he had several very successful critically and received by general audiences before he even got his hands on Dune, which was a childhood dream of his to do. And you could see that it wasn't some rhetoric that he was spouting off, that he wasn't trying to sell you on his how much of a Frank Herbert fan he was. And it's you can tell that in the final product. And well, hopefully we'll see in part 2 how he
Well, and
finishes
that's the
that. But
thing. That's the thing, Elaine, is that I felt like a lot of people were mad at the Dune ending because everyone was like, "Why are you ending in here? I want more." Like, and that's kind of like like that's what you want in a movie ending that's going to have a sequel. Like, you want people to be mad that it's ending. Like that's okay. You know, that to me it's okay that fans are like they're like, "Oh no, we want more of this." Because it just got good, you know, like
yeah.
that's what you want, not like, oh my god, I can't wait until this is fucking over, because that's how I feel about this show.
I
You're
could
giving
have had more from from Doom Part 1. I wanted more. There were a couple of scenes from the book I wish they included, even though it would have been pushing it well past 3 hours. I
I would
felt
have
like it
liked
could have
more as well.
fit in well.
I know
Yeah.
there's so much stuff they could have done more, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm good with
I
it.
still think they probably could have fit some extra things in Dune if they just cut some of those exterior shots in half.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I guess it works for the
Yeah.
theater, but even when I put it on my projector and I put it on my wall, which is 8 feet by 12 feet in height, I still don't care.
Yeah.
I care about the characters. The visuals are the added flourish to these characters and how they're dealing with that on Arrakis. It's
Yeah. I will always miss the banquet scene. I think that would
Mm.
really have made it,
yeah.
I think perfect, because I don't feel like we spent as much time on Arrakis as I think we could have to really let
Agreed.
us settle into the environment. But even still, overall, the themes, the characters, the main characters' journeys, and the most important parts of their journeys were represented. And
It was a good
even
adaptation.
yeah,
Like, it was a good adaptation compared
yeah,
to what we're getting recently with adaptations and how,
yeah,
they
you
don't.
can't even call this anything close to. It's not even based, inspired. I wouldn't even say it's that for Rings of Power. There's nothing that's reminiscent of Middle Earth except, I guess, names
Yeah,
and
just the names and like the
places.
map. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not all of what Tolkien's works were. It's the story, the people, the history, and they're just kind of tossing that aside and thinking they can write as well as him, and
And
it's
the
just
unexpected
laughable.
hero. The other part too, the unexpected hero. Where is that in this?
It's gonna be the elf kid. It's gonna be baby daddy. He's gonna be the unexpected hero. Cause now,
Theo?
yeah, because she gave him the sword and she's like, "You're gonna be a warrior now." And he's like, "Okay."
But we've already seen him what he does with a sword hilt. He's just gonna stab that thing in his arm and think it's gonna work. He has no swordsmanship training.
Yeah,
He's
a sword.
inspired by like Commander Galadriel, the commander of the northern armies. I
He's
feel
had
like
more
he's gonna.
archery training from his, estranged father than he has.
Yeah.
Who told him to aim higher. That was his 1,000-year-old like elven training. Told him, aim higher. That's your hint.
Well, I mean, the writer should be doing that a lot.
Oh damn. Yes. That's a good one. Ew. Okay, let's get to some of these super chats here because I want to talk about She-Hulk before we end the show, and I think Elaine has to go soon.
Shulky.
So let's get to some of these super chats. We got Mr. Tickle Trunk. I'm gonna call you Mr. Tickle Trunk.
What? There's a 5 in there now.
It's a Mr. Tickle Trunk for Toonie that says, "Thanks, Nina. I forgot to get change from my toxic fams." Stop it. Stop it. Okay, let's see. Okay, you could read this one, Elaine.
Yeah, it's Lord of the Rings, not Warhammer 40K.
Was Adam Wolford. Thank
Yeah,
you for the
it's
$2.
a Dune on steroids.
Yeah, you can say that again, Adam. Thank you. It's true. And then we got Hillis Nallery for 5 that says, "So when you had the article up, my eyes went to Wednesday welcomes Christina Ricci. This seems 10 times more interesting than Rings of Power."
Yeah, maybe.
I guess we'll see. If it's for the modern audiences, I have no hope for it. I don't think.
I don't know too much about that. I think I watched the trailer. I mean, but I'm not a huge Addams Family person. I think I liked the which one had Christopher Lloyd in it?
That was the Addams Family.
Addams Family.
films.
The original one.
The
Yeah.
movies.
Was
Yeah.
and Christina Ricci was in that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was the
Okay,
little
yeah, okay.
girl.
Well, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like those ones too, Elaine. Those are
But
like-
Fred Armisen I saw was the Uncle Fester.
Yeah, those look
Interesting.
great.
Yeah,
I don't know
they
about
should have
that.
got someone funny.
Oh my god. Burn.
I don't know. I'm not into
Great
reboots much these days. So
Me either, Elaine.
We'll see.
I'm over it. I'm
Yeah,
over
let's-
reimaginings, and I'm over just like, oh, let's do this series
I'm
again.
broken hearted
Me
over
too.
Quantum Leap as it is. I'm
Oh
like
gosh, so
recovering
am I.
from that.
Lord.
Script and I tried to warn everybody about that one.
As was reviewing that, I
If-
think he stopped.
If the Wednesday series ends with her getting kicked out of school for doing something very Addams Family like, that might be a good high note to end that first season, but I doubt it's going to go in that direction yet.
Wait, what network is it going to be on?
Netflix.
It's gonna be shit because they did the same thing with like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and then Sabrina turned out to be a fucking nightmare of a show. Like
The problem is they had already had somebody who did this idea on YouTube and probably did it better than they're going to be able to.
it's gonna be
Wouldn't surprise
Somebody
me.
did Grown Up Wednesday already. I don't know if you can find them anywhere. I'm sure they're out there because I think they made her pull them down. But it was kind of hilarious. It was basically Adult Wednesday dealing with the real world. It was kind of hilarious. But yeah. Anyway,
I guess we'll find out. G-Man for 5 says, "I would love to live in this world to see how many Harfoots I could get to Minecraft their own kind for a sock full of apples and a comb." You should give them soap first. My God, their feet are so dirty. They're so disgusting.
She ate that snail.
Oh gosh, that was pretty gross, especially the close up of it.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. And then like the one when they're the really close up this week of like their feet as they're walking. I was like, why? Why do you
it's
do
like
this?
bum fights.
Did we see all of the trailer footage? Have we gotten all the trailer footage?
Pretty much
Seemed
because
like
we got the Balrog and everything. Look at the dirty, disgusting feet. Like why?
Eek.
It's like they want to show that like they want to pretend that they're like really cute like hobbit feet, but it's like no, they're not cute hobbit feet. Hobbit feet are like wide and hairy. They're not disgustingly dirty.
They're also
You got
clean
the-
and don't have infections.
Exactly. Yeah, they're very clean.
Yeah.
They don't have fucking gout. Like it's like I don't need to see this shit.
Well, and I'm laughing partially, mostly so hard at this message from G-Man because if you've been watching Beavis and Butthead, this last episode, something happened and it just reminded me of this.
Oh, I haven't seen it. I want to watch that.
Was that the one with the nacho chip?
The what?
The nacho chip episode?
No, that's the one before it. This one, the manager of Burger World posts a sign that they have the right to refuse service. And of course, he tries to explain to Beavis and Butthead that's only if they violate policies or cause a danger to other customers. And of course, you know how they take shit. So like they're refusing to serve any customers, and then they finally get the idea to have customers start fighting over the food.
Oh my God.
They're like, you guys have to fight each other, and then the winner gets to eat. And then he's like, I'm not gonna fight this guy over some stupid food. He's like, yeah, because you wouldn't win anyway. He's like, what? He's like, you hear that? You're gonna let him say that and get that way with it? Like they start fucking fighting over the fucking Burger World.
Oh my God.
It's hilarious. So it just kind of reminded me of that and bum fights. It's like, are you serious? Like, I could see that. Tim Riggs is next, though.
Yeah, Tim Riggs for 5 says, I'm ridiculously drunk at the moment, but whatever that pink white monstrosity you put on the screen hurt my eyes more than anything I saw in Hellraiser 2022. What was it?
Is it
He's
Galadriel?
talking about Lizzo.
Oh.
See, if you're fat, that's a lot of pink to blur. It's blurry, so even
like
though
Galadriel?
she's not wearing much, but I can see where he's coming from.
Well, I mean, dresses get expensive by the yard of fabric you use.
I think she's got better like costume designers than She-Hulk, to be honest, though. Like she's got that spandex going on over there.
The spandex working overtime? Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God. That's funny, Tim Riggs. You got me on that one.
That was pretty good, though.
We got John Thomas. Do you want to read this one, Elaine?
Sure. I haven't read the Silmarillion in forever. Is there any real Tolkien lore to support the elves were dying with the tree? No.
Short answer, no.
No, there's not. I don't even know how they really explained it that well. To like, I shouldn't have to do the work for these writers to make this make sense. But it seemed like they're diminishing, like they were later in the Third Age, like when they went to the West. I don't know if that's what they're trying to do. It doesn't make any sense, and
nothing.
There's definitely not with how they're portraying the Mithril as a part of like saving their immortality. It's just all made up. I don't. If you're trying to see lore in this, there isn't any. It's just
at this point when you say it doesn't make any sense, you might as well just mean the whole fucking shebang.
Yeah,
yeah. Just even the way they rewrite it to how they want to, it just doesn't make sense. None of the motivations, none of the driving force for any of these characters make sense for them, especially like Gil-galad, and I don't understand his motivations for wanting to ship Galadriel off to Valinor and why he even has that ability to do that.
He's a toxic male, and she was threatening his maleness. So you know what?
Like why her presence would bring Sauron out or
Maybe he saw a vision that Sauron was thirsty for some Galadriel, and it's like, oh, if I get her away, he won't be interested in her anymore. But now we have this new aspect of the Lord of the Rings, at least in Rings of Power, which is if someone destroys that tree, the elves are gone. So it's like that's a pretty vulnerable thing to have for your.
Yeah, why wouldn't Sauron just go after that in the future, right?
And they basically also confirmed that the legend that they made up, the Song of the Roots of Hyglafell, how do you say it, was true. They said, oh, it's apocryphal, or that's not the word. It's just a legend that no one believes in because it sounds stupid. And, well, it's confirmed.
It's just a myth. Is that what you meant? Or mythical?
Well, that's how they portrayed it as. It's not real. It's not in lore. They made it up, and even within the show, they said, "Oh, it's just a legend that obscure legend, no one really believes." But they confirmed it by the mithril healing the leaf,
the tree,
and so which makes me even more confused about the Balrog of Morgoth and the story which is the whole driving force for Durin's Bane, apparently, and.
We're gonna see the Balrog soon. Well,
the Balrog's awake. The Balrog's awake already, and
he's awake. He's awake. Well, actually, you know what? Can we stop misgendering him because we don't actually know if it's a he. I have a feeling that it's gonna be a she.
He is kind of flaming, so
yeah, it's gonna be like I'm an independent Balrog, and I'm here to take revenge.
I'm super. Thanks for asking.
Apocryphal is a fancy word for fan fiction. That's fine.
Mm.
Oh my god, it's so bad. Okay. Let's change gears a little bit. Let's go into She-Hulk because that also happened this
Shulky.
week.
Mhm.
And Script Doctor, did you watch the latest episode of She-Hulk?
I did. I'm sad to say it's
You
probably one of
poor
the better written
bastard.
episodes we've had of She-Hulk to this
It's-
point.
I know that's true. I know that's weird to say, but it's true. It was better written, but not by much. It fucking sucked.
Why would you
But
do
my
that to
God.
yourselves?
But my God, you guys. She-Hulk gets very real about the rage-inducing horror of revenge porn. She-Hulk's penultimate episode took a dark turn to dig into what makes revenge porn such an infuriating act of violence. And I'm going to just quickly go over what happened for those of you who missed the show. Long story short, She-Hulk meets Daredevil. Daredevil is representing her a client, the guy that was supposed to be making her suit. The guy that was making her suit is getting sued by a guy that wore a suit and fucked up by putting jet fuel in it. So he basically crashed and burned. And so he's suing that guy. And she's representing the bad guy in this. And she's a fucking awful lawyer, but somehow wins an award. And after she bangs Matt Murdock, she finds out that he's actually Daredevil because they're like battling for that guy. It's God, it's so stupid. As I'm like trying to explain this. I can't believe this is She-Hulk. Anyways, after she bangs him, she goes to this freaking award because she's finally rescued that guy, and they're okay now. The guy that fucking made her the suit, so he made her the dress. They go to the gala. And she basically says, or she goes up to accept her award, which is apparently not a single award either. It was like given to like all the women.
Oh yeah, because you can't exclude one woman, especially an attorney, because she'll sue you.
Yeah, because apparently all of the women are the best, and like there's no, it's like basically a participation trophy. Like thanks for being a lawyer and female.
No need to be even nominated. You're. It means nothing to be nominated if you
Like
all
what?
win.
Yeah, like what the fuck was that? But anyways, when the time for her to come to give her speech, somebody hacks a computer and basically it becomes like these incels that are saying that she's a slut and that that's basically it. Called her slut and then revealed her revenge porn. Is there a picture of those people on here? I don't know.
But I mean, so far in this series,
Just put up a picture of Doomcock.
Jessica Walter does wear her libido on her sleeve. I mean,
oh my God, hold on. Incels and She-Hulk.
I can't remember what the hell they were called.
I don't know. I'm just gonna put incels and She-Hulk and let's
I
see if
didn't
it
watch
comes
this
up.
garbage.
No, it doesn't come up. I forget. It's called like the Secret Intelligentsia or something like that.
Something like
That sounds familiar. Intelligentsia. That's that I watched it and just
Oh my God, I can't believe. I honestly can't believe this is the episode that was She-Hulk.
Is there no more bad guys left to?
No,
I feel like comic books should have a ton.
especially
No
for
good bad
She-Hulk.
guys left.
She-Hulk has some very hysterical bad guys. There's this one dude that built an elephant robot suit that he uses to try and fight crime, and he ends up fighting She-Hulk. There's one that makes fun of Batman by making a female Batman version of her.
Well, see, that's what this should. I thought this was going to be what they should have done. I think it's like kind of in the style of Harvey Birdman, a very parody. Like,
yeah.
Can't that be fun?
That would have been fun.
And now we're looking at like revenge porn. Oh, if I can say that.
No, but it's
for your main antagonist.
Yeah, it's
Like,
basically like they ran out of ideas, so they're like, okay, let's make we can't focus on making like having people have fun anymore at while they're watching our show. They have to be taught something. We have to teach them something. And in this case, in our show, they're going to learn that the real problem on Earth right now is incels who are sexist and misogynist and internet trolls, memeing, and revenge porning. Like that's the real problems of our world, not the Avengers missing. Like, there's even no Avengers anymore, but like there's no real fucking villains. This is the villain. I'm like, how is that a superhero show? Why does it need to be a Hulk show? I don't understand. Okay,
It's
there
just
it is.
sad. They have so much opportunity with this concept to have a lot of fun and show us an angle on the MCU that we haven't seen before, and we get nothing of that. We get a staff of writers that openly admit that they don't even know how to write a legal procedural, which is kind of like part of the first three dramas, or first three things you learn how to write is a procedural, a comedy, and a romance. Like those are your basics for television, just off the
yeah.
bat.
It's
And
literally called attorney at law. So you
and
think
You would
here's
think they would know how to write for that, but
they should. That's the first
yeah.
qualifications. You should have at least one person there that's like, yes, I've worked on a legal drama, or I've studied, or I was a lawyer, or what have you. I've observed enough cases in my lifetime to know exactly how things are orchestrated and done. Like even in this scene, or sorry, in this episode, where they're making their cases to the judge, the defendant and the plaintiff are volunteering information to the judge which would not be admissible at this stage because they're just shouting out stuff to the judge. And so when he's just like,
Mhm.
yeah, here are my rocket boots, and Matt Murdock asks him the question, oh, what fuel did you use? He, number one, the judge should be like, don't answer that, you haven't sworn to anything, you don't have to,
Right.
it's a civil case, you don't have to do anything like that. And then on top of that, where was Jen's due diligence on this part? Because
That's the thing that I had a problem with Script Doctor, because she basically didn't do any work, and then I'm like, why is she getting an award for being a great lawyer when she barely can fucking do anything? Mind you, I was a little bit surprised that they let Daredevil win the case because he's a man. So I was totally expecting her to like railroad him and be like, he
the
was gonna
only
be a fucking
embarrassing thing they did for Daredevil was that stupid walk of shame, which makes no sense.
yeah.
Everything else felt like I thought it was going to be a lot worse. It ended up being better because he was charming, he was confident, he was able
Yeah.
to
He was badass.
stand his ground. Like even when She-Hulk is beating up the other guys or trying to convince her client to turn back, Daredevil's in the background saying like, you should probably do these arguments for your case. And then the guy's like, "Oh, are you a lawyer?" He's like, "No, I'm just an avid fan of law." and just
No,
fun little
the
stuff
only
like
part
that.
that was annoying about him, other than the walk of shame, is how she caught him and took the mask off. I was like,
Yeah.
really? Like that's no. I'm sorry, but
They could have
I
had
don't
more of
see.
a fun cat and mouse aspect to play with there before they got to that point. But the other part that also really threw me off is the initial claim that Leapfrog took to She-Hulk was that his suit caught fire and his suit is not supposed to be able to catch fire. That's the issue.
Yeah,
And then when we get to court, it's like, oh no, the whole aspect of the suit catching fire is irrelevant because he used jet fuel when that wasn't required. But if the complaint is the suit caught fire and he was told it shouldn't, it's unable to ever catch fire, that still holds the tailor culpable for misleading him. It doesn't matter if he put jet fuel on it. It doesn't matter if he doused it in gasoline and tried to set it on fire. According to the tailor, by way of what he told Leapfrog, the suit would never catch fire. It's
but
like justice.
no, but they were saying that like what the tailor said was that like he gave him specific instructions and he didn't do the specific instructions, so therefore.
Yeah, but we don't even know what those instructions were. And on top of that, it completely sidesteps the initial complaint, which he suffered third-degree burns because he was told, hey, the suit's never going to catch on fire. It's inflammable or unflammable.
Right, right,
and
right,
it caught
right.
fire. It's like, whoa, you run with that, have fun with it. Why? How did it catch fire? What did he do? Did he alter it? Did he never wash and clean it as required?
Right.
Did it really catch fire, or did his socks underneath catch fire and the suit itself just retained the fire because it wouldn't burn out or something? Where's the silly that you could explore with this and keep it in the same continuity of what was presented initially? Wasn't
How
there?
do these inexperienced writers, ones who can't write, procedural, in charge of this MCU lawyer show, and then other ones that don't have a credit to their name in front of Lord of the Rings?
Oh my
How is this
God.
happening? I don't. Does
Oddly
J.J.
enough,
Abrams have that much influence?
I've managed to source on the Marvel side of thing. You can source a lot of the writers from Rick and Morty. That's where
Ew.
they kind of got their start and got their accolades. And I think Kevin Feige is such a huge fan of them that he's just plucking them out to help shepherd his shows.
Yeah,
Because
because we know Jessica Gao is like the pickle Rick chick.
yeah, and the guy who did Doctor Strange, who's now also I think writing Fantastic Four, he was also from Rick and Morty.
Oh God.
Yep. There. Also, I think he worked on WandaVision as well.
I just don't understand why, like, and I think this is kind of where we're going with the MCU and the MCU in general is like everything is haha, everything is silly. Like Thor's a joke, fucking Doctor Strange is a joke. Everyone's a fucking joke now. So I just don't see I don't see She-Hulk as a standalone comedy show anymore with regards to the MCU because everybody's a fucking joke now. So like, what's not funny
Yeah.
in the MCU? I
I
don't know.
mean, and I liked Ragnarok at the time, but I liked it. I didn't want that to be the only thing. That was kind of felt like to me to be a one-off. That was just the style of film for that run, and I was expecting a new take on the next
Mhm.
film or something. But it's just
Di-
they just doubled down on the same thing. It just made it more sillier, more sillier.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did the same thing with Guardians of the
Just
Galaxy. You got like
yeah.
Ragnarok and Guardians of the Galaxy, which had like a little bit of silliness to it, but they were still kind of serious.
Yeah,
And then they
Ragnarok had some serious moments that kind of balanced it out, but
Yeah, but then they just ran with this like, oh, let's just turn everything into a giant joke.
yeah,
And
but I
now,
liked the other ones too. I liked the first two. I guess I mean Thor the Dark World.
You finished the Dark World? I couldn't finish the Dark
I
World.
I thought it had some really good moments in it, especially with
The Loki
Loki.
stuff wasn't bad. Yeah.
I didn't hate it.
I think I would enjoy it. Now, I
The
don't
rest
know.
of it though
I
was
guess-
kind of meh. But yeah.
I will say
Yeah.
that for Thor Ragnarok, they kind of found the sweet spot for Thor in regards to his earnestness towards accepting being a hero, being responsible for others, and embracing what his role is as Odinson.
Mhm.
And the fact that he was able to kind of keep up a little bit with Loki. Like he's learned something from there. I'm like, oh, he kind of
Yeah.
like he felt comfortable in this thing, and the jokes didn't come from him being a buffoon. It came from the fact that he genuinely cares about what he's doing and wanting to live up to his name. That was completely abandoned for Thor: Love and Thunder.
Well, what it is in that one, they actually, if anything, he treats the Hulk more like the fool, and then he becomes the fool in Thor Ragnarok or Thor Love and Thunder. That's the problem.
Yeah, and then and meanwhile, Loki is a giant joke now too in his own show. He's just a big
Yeah.
joke.
I think I like the first well, what's the episode? Once Sylvia, whatever her name is,
Yeah.
came up, then it went like super downhill for me. And I felt like it had potential, which is really sad.
It
I
did
kind of
have
like the
potential.
aesthetic and the premise and they just ruined that. Like
Yeah, and
every
then
time I give them a chance and they just so I've learned now not to. I enjoyed it this
not
time.
do it now. Yeah, because even like that show did have potential, and even the best parts of that show were like basically not like our Loki. Like fucking Gator Loki was better than fucking Sylvie and like whatever the hell that was going on with Sylvie and Loki. Like, I liked old Loki and Gator
Yeah.
Loki and like all those people. And you finally saw Loki actually do some magic as old Loki. And I was like, Where
Yeah.
was this? Like during the whole entire season?
I feel like they should have just ended after. Well, after like the story arcs, overarching things like they were doing, a Spider-Man like do his independent things, whatever. But I think they should just ended the that universe. And if you're gonna focus on one thing, fine. But trying to do the overarching thing where everything connects to everything and it's building towards this thing, I just don't think you have the foundation anymore to do that. Infinity
No.
Saga was just a one-time thing, and I don't think they know how to tell stories in this universe post Blip anymore. It's
Mhm.
just nothing. I don't like that everyone knows everyone's identity, and
Right.
that used to be a huge thing that I like, at least in a superhero drama, of the not having to keep your identity a secret,
think
and that's
you're
like blown out the window now.
I think
Yeah.
you're right, Elaine. I think I said this kind of the other morning, something similar to this, and like
Mhm.
it kind of just started to crush under the weight of itself. I mean, it's gone a little bit farther beyond just like it's cool to have this character pop up here and there, a cameo here or there. You've literally got a problem now where you have an entire film like the Eternals, for instance, where it makes no fucking sense for them to even exist in this world, because if that's the case, then they would have definitely got involved with Thanos, because their whole reason
Yeah.
for being there is for
Mhm.
populating this world so that it can be eaten. So
Well, and interestingly that you bring up the fact of the whole secret identity thing. That was the theme of this She-Hulk episode. It was the whole idea that She-Hulk is a public figure, and as Jen Walters and as She-Hulk, and that she's chosen to be a public figure versus Daredevil, who's a hidden superhero and has a mask, and he doesn't want his identity revealed, because if people find out, like if villains find out, they'll want to kill the people that they love, like that Daredevil loves and stuff like that.
that's a
the
big
whole
problem
idea.
this universe is always overlooked, and the only one who really does seem to pay attention to that is Spider-Man.
Right.
Yeah.
But in this one, they were trying to kind of make that the main theme of the episode. And so it was actually going okay at the beginning. That's why the writing was like, okay, Daredevil was doing well, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it's like, never mind. Like Daredevil's a slut, just like She-Hulk. And then also he, just bangs her and like leaves, which she's apparently fine with now, because they didn't, because at first she kind of, made a big deal when she was sleeping with other people, like during the show. And then she was like all mad when they would like leave in the morning or whatever without saying anything. But if Daredevil did it, like that was fine. So then,
Ugh.
yeah, like
So he got dressed and he already suggested that he's going back to New York the next day. So it's like, yeah, I'll leave.
oh my God, it was
Oh
so
my
fucking
goodness.
It just
stupid,
felt-
man.
it just felt weird. And
Why do
just-
that then? I
know.
mean,
well, I mean, Daredevil does like to chase women. I
I
mean,
just can't
after all,
see
he's
him
a
doing
devout-
that, like a
he's
one
a
night
devout
stand,
Catholic
and
from
then
New York City. He's definitely going to be breaking that that celibacy thing as often as he can.
oh, what
God.
even is this show?
It's so
Sounds
gross,
awful.
Elaine. It's so gross.
It pains me so much because I've read She-Hulk for a long time, and I refreshed myself before the show, and I had a lot of fun ideas I could have done with this for
Elaine-
a half hour long, and it's
Right.
like just painful to be watching this and think you're missing every single opportunity that this character embodies.
I know. Elaine, the worst part was when he left, her friend shows up and she's like, oh my God, I just saw like a devil walking outside doing the walk of shame. And like, she's like, yeah, that was my devil. I was like, fucking
Ew.
kidding me. Like they're literally like they literally even spelled it out. They were like, oh my God, like he totally did like the walk of shame. And I was
But
like,
didn't he like say hello to the other person passing him by, and he was kind of chipper
Wait.
about it? Is it really a
Wait,
walk
he
of
was-
shame if you're happy? It's like, oh, I
He was
did
like-
well.
he was whistling. Like he was like,
No, nobody whistles on a walk of shame.
So she actually said walk of shame?
yes, she actually said the walk of shame. I just saw
Wow.
a devil dude yell like outside doing the walk of shame. It was funny. And then he was like, yeah, it was my devil. And like basically like I banged him. And then she was like, hey girl, like, oh my God. It was like, oh, it's just so vapid, Elaine. It's so vapid. It's like they just portray women as such vapid, disgusting, like no standards. It's just, I don't know. It's just weird.
Aren't you
Yeah,
all like
well-
that though? I mean, that's what they think.
apparently that's what they
Well,
think. But
and
it's
that's
weird.
I think an issue too with Rings of Power. They love to promote how great the women have such agency, but when none of the decisions in Rings of Power, none of the women, none of the things that they do seem particularly noble or logical. As far as Bronwyn, I have no idea why she felt she was qualified to lead everyone because she killed an orc in her kitchen and now everyone's going to follow her. And
'Cause
she
she's an
also forgot,
independent
oh yeah,
woman.
bring food while you're like, it's just, there's just nothing that qualifies her to lead everyone. Why she should garner that respect in that position. Nothing is really given for or earned in that way. And they're just supposed to just, oh, she's the one talking, so I guess I'll follow her.
Yeah.
She did say drinks all around though, so that didn't
Her role in the village
didn't
is
follow
that
her
she's
that
the,
last time.
yeah, her role in the village is that she's the healer, but we don't see her heal anything. In fact, she just checks over a
Yeah,
cow.
she puts herself in danger multiple times. Like
She's
she's
a terrible
dying.
mom.
She's dying, and she's like, "Oh, there's another guy who's clearly dead. No, go help him." While she,
Oh yeah.
While I'm bleeding out.
but
Oh,
also,
like
I mean,
Albrand bleeding
Galadriel's
out
the
and
worst
going on a
though.
horse.
Yeah, Galadriel's
my
the worst
God.
though. How she's clearly manipulative, and
Yeah.
especially her language with Halbrand. And this is the women of that they're supposed to that they're propping up. Like this is not good behavior. This is not something that you
No.
should promote. She is clearly trying to paint the situation, manipulating Halbrand to get her way when she's clearly like, oh, people would say that you're manipulating me, as she's just clearly laid out why she's manipulating him and
Yep.
how she gets her way all the time and by being demanding. And then so nothing is earned as far as respect, as far as why she's a position of leadership. And that's why it's like they're sabotaging these female characters, and they claim that they're doing us a favor
Yeah.
by having that in there. And yeah, it's just all rhetoric so they could make headlines, and it sounds good on a Hollywood Reporter article, but it doesn't mean anything. It's yeah.
No.
Same thing with this, I guess.
And that's the thing too, is like, and somebody like wrote in the chat, like so it just seems like they're like writing themselves in. And because obviously like not all women are like that, but it really seems like they're like that. They're like that, and they want to paint like their themselves onto these onto these characters, onto these heroes. They want to just put like their own vapid characteristics onto themselves, and it's like, no, like not all women are like that. Not all women just want to sleep around, and you know.
Wasn't there an interview with them, like they were saying like it was like working out some like group therapy type thing or some shit like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Writer's room, yeah. So like, and I see the same kind of thing with, you know, Payne and McKay on the Lord of the Rings side of things. You didn't get anything made for 10 years because guess what? You're probably the problem. It's kind of the same thing with these women here. It's like, if you can't find happiness in any relationship, guess what? Chances are you're probably the problem.
Mhm.
You know, like
They literally put a therapy episode in the fucking show, Tom, like where
Which is just affirming. It's not therapy. It's just affirmation.
it's affirmation by bad
yeah,
guys.
thank you for that too.
By
yeah,
the way,
to be more specific, yeah.
And it was by bad guys, and all the bad guys are basically making the hero turn, like, you know, telling her that she can, you know, she can be better, and she was ghosted and like all this stuff. And it's like, this what I'm talking about, this blurring of the lines of what good and evil mean. And, you know, why are the bad guys therapizing fucking She-Hulk? Like it just makes no fucking sense on any level.
It's almost like a struggle session, if you ask me.
It's fucking
But
crazy.
we got a couple of super chats that are actually relevant to the conversation right now, so might as well we'll grab it.
Go ahead, Tom. Read it.
Well, Tim Riggs says, not that I'm saying it's acceptable, but She-Hulk, it's hard to have that distributed if you weren't being a rage-inducing, I don't know what word he's trying to say there, but just saying. I kind of thought so, but I wasn't sure. Wench or whore or something like that, but I'm like, yeah, wench doesn't have an E on the end. No one of consequence says, was the implication that Matt was ashamed of sleeping with She-Hulk. Yeah, that's what these
No.
guys were just talking about, and that's what I don't get about the whole walk
Didn't
of
appear
shame
that way
joke.
to me.
Yeah, so it
didn't
doesn't make
appear
any
that way.
sense.
It
Well,
didn't
she was
appear that
proud
way.
of it.
Well,
She
like,
was
I-
proud of it, and so he seemed happy because he was whistling.
Yeah,
He's like,
then you wouldn't be doing a walk of shame, and that's why the joke doesn't work. Because that's why I wrote on Twitter, 22 Jump Street called and wants its joke back. Because the whole point of the joke is that he gets booted, and he's the only guy walking amongst all the women. That's why the joke works the way it does. But
the
anyway,
only reason they're talking about it being a walk of shame, I think, is because he's walking barefoot. So he's got his like
they don't get it.
shoes in his hands, but that
That's
doesn't
even
mean that's a
worse.
walk of shame.
Yeah, like that even tells you that the women themselves probably have never done a walk of shame because they don't understand why a woman in the morning would not be walking in her heels. She's tired, her feet are sore.
Right.
Don't want to be walking in heels. Like
No.
he's wearing boots that are combat boots for fighting, and he spends hours out at night doing that. Those shoes are probably incredibly comfortable. There's
Yes.
no reason for him to ever take them off.
Exactly. I
after
think they're
night.
misinterpreting what the walk of shame is all about. And actually, I disagree. They probably have done the walk of shame several times, but they didn't interpret it the way it was really meant to be interpreted. That's my point. Like they
I'm just
they were
bringing
getting the
up
boot.
They seem
picture.
pretty judgmental group to have had a couple of walk of shames in their history.
Could be. You could be right on that as well.
Just for people who haven't seen it. So this is kind of like what it
The
is.
walk of shame,
He's got
yeah.
his shoes in his hands, and like he's happy though. He's whistling. He's like,
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. What would have made sense
Um,
is if Jen Walters used her lawyer resources to track down the guy that ghosted her, and when she finds him, she finds out he's part of that cult that's trying to steal her blood or what have you, and then now you have a dramatic climax as opposed to going to a retreat to address a defective ankle monitor
Stop man
then-
writing.
well, they had a different kind of
and hanging out in
climax
a
in
yurt.
mind.
Stop man writing script.
Stop
You're
making
man writing.
sense.
God damn it, script doctor.
Stop it.
Hillis Mallory for $2 says,
better.
quick thoughts on Werewolf by Night. Good show. I've never seen it
Oh.
or heard of it.
Been hearing good things about it. See,
I haven't seen it
Elaine?
yet.
I haven't seen
No,
it.
I haven't.
Oh.
What's it on? It's on a.
It's a Marvel thing. I think it's just a movie, but it was that black and white, looks like an old Universal movie thing they advertised at D23. They dropped in for Halloween here.
Wait,
hearing-
it's already out?
Yeah, but hearing decent shit about it. It came out this last weekend. Yeah,
I didn't know it was already out. I mean, I had heard something about it, but
it's actually
definitely-
Disney Plus's highest rated original program, as in like highest rated by score, not by
wow.
like people watch.
It was review bombed.
Oh no, it wasn't review bombed, Elaine, because it's a good thing. So, yeah.
That's hilarious. You're right. It says Werewolf by Night has the MCU's highest. Oh,
Yeah.
God, fucking ads. Jesus.
Highest amount of
has the
fucking
MCU's
ads.
highest Disney Plus audience scores.
Wow.
They released those really fast. Jeez.
That's because they weren't afraid to, because it probably is legit. See, and that's usually why I know, like, depending on how fast it comes out and depending on what they're claiming. And I have not seen anybody really bash on this. I've seen a lot of positive feedback on it. Like, a lot of people are talking about it, asking if everybody's seen it. And those who've seen it have all said, yeah, it was a lot better than they anticipated it was going to. See, there you go.
Wow.
And I even
I didn't
said,
even know.
somebody was posting some of the shots from about how violent and stuff it was. I'm like, this is what I've been saying. I'm not worried about the PG-13 aspect of Blade. I'm worried about everything else, right?
Well,
Like
the
this.
director left.
Yeah, well, there's a
That's
lot of other
concerning.
things that I have, that are
You
concerned
also
about.
don't need F-bombs in a Blade movie. That's the
Yeah,
other part.
exactly. Like there's less I'm concerned about when it comes to the rating than everything else that's MCU involved right now. That's what has me more concerned. But seeing the bits and pieces from this and how violent this got, like, yeah, that's what I was trying to tell people. Don't worry about the PG-13 thing. That's the least of our worries right now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'll maybe watch it.
But watch. I mean, this guy's been getting, the director for this has been getting praised. So don't be surprised if maybe he gets announced to turn around and direct Blade. That might be.
Ooh, that
I
would
wouldn't
be
be
interesting.
surprised.
He'll direct it. He'll score
Okay.
it.
So
Yeah,
it's
because
in
it's that
black
Michael
and white
Giacchino
too?
guy, isn't it? Giacchino.
Yeah.
Is it all in black and white?
Yeah, it's
Do
all
you
black
know?
and white, like the old
Oh.
Universal horror films. Yeah.
Wow, look at that. They like even put the
Yeah,
Rotten
yeah.
Tomatoes scores.
With over
How's it-
1,000
I mean,
plus ratings, no less. So that's.
I mean, I don't really know if I trust any of
They
that.
didn't
But
even have
okay,
to
yeah.
fortify it.
Hold on, let me check it right on Rotten Tomatoes. Werewolf by
Yeah,
Night.
well, everybody keeps saying, yeah, no, it was actually well written. I
Oh,
mean, this is the closest I've seen to it was somewhere between okay and good. Okay.
yeah, it's at fucking stupid Rotten Tomatoes and their stupid ad thingy. 93, 92. Yeah, 92
It went
for
down a little
critics,
bit, but not much. Yeah.
93 by viewers. That's very surprising. Good to know though. Okay, like I'll check it out. I'll see.
I guess if you like horror movies and stuff, you'd probably like it.
Yeah.
Oh, there is color the last 5 minutes. Spoiler.
Spoilers. So it's like
Next,
Wizard
you're
of
gonna tell
Oz.
me that, like, yeah, well, the next you're gonna do is spoil Wizard of Oz. So thank you for that, Hillis. And yeah, with that, I think we've pretty much covered everything we had
Yeah.
planned on.
Yeah, so we can kind of say our goodbyes for this week.
Yeah, there's over 600 of you still watching. That's amazing. Thank you so much for being here. That means a couple of you still haven't hit that like button. Please do that, because that lets the algorithm know that you enjoyed the program. And then Salvador Cruz sends in a last minute super chat if you want to grab that one, Nina.
Yeah, Salvador Cruz, thank you so much for the $5. Says if this was a series, it would have been easier for them to screw up. Hey, that's also
Good
true.
point.
That's a good point.
Because it seems
Especially
like
when
a
you
lot of
like
their
switch
series.
directors and writers and all,
Yeah.
it's all
Well,
the
and it seems
switching.
like a lot of their series are nothing but like padding in between the actual story all the
Mm.
time. That doesn't help. But do check out Nerd Cookies, Elaine's channel, and also check out Nina Infinity. Elaine, do you have anything coming up that you want to plug?
Just you can come see my YouTube channel, Nerd Cookies, and you can follow me on Twitter at Nerd Cookies. I've got some Dune lore, more Dune lore coming down the pipeline, so keep an eye out for that. And that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for inviting me on.
Of course, anytime.
Hopefully I was a good
And,
guest.
Oh,
You
always.
were a fucking amazing
You know,
guest.
you're always welcome.
Yeah,
And,
you're always welcome back. And also,
Somebody was
especially-
praising your Battlestar Galactica videos as well earlier. I saw.
Aw, thank you. I love doing those.
Especially
Haven't done one in
Elaine,
a
like
while.
I think next week or the week after, if you want to come back on for the season finale talk of Rings of Power, you're more than welcome to come back. So
Oh boy.
there you go. 'Cause you know that's gonna happen.
Maybe there'll be something fun to talk along with it, though. But we got Jesus Davila who sent in a super sticker.
Yeah, it's a lemon. It's a lemon character offering the baby lemon a gift. Thank you.
Take
Thank you
the
for
gift.
present. So cute.
Thank you so much, Jesus.
Aw.
Nina, you got anything coming up you want to plug?
The Real BBC tomorrow. I believe that's on Az's channel. And then Wednesday, I'm gonna be hanging out on my channel with I don't remember who it is right now, but Breaking the Narrative on Wednesday. And of course, Fridays, Infinite Hope, as always. This week, I believe Mandy Summers is going to be on Infinite Hope. That should be a lot of fun. And also, again, I want to shameless plug my new video that I just dropped the other day. YouTube is totally shadow banned the video. So I request everyone here to go and watch it and give it a thumbs up and leave a comment just so that the algorithm picks it up a little bit better. So thank you very much. And I always love Monday nights on Midnight's Edge. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Indeed. And we love having you be a part of the program, of course. And again, thank you, Elaine, for hopping in here. And Script Doctor. Don't forget to check out Script Doctor's channel as well. You've been doing some video gaming lately.
Yeah, just some respite stuff, playing Diablo. I don't play many video games that were created in the 21st century, so.
But he still
and
does
also
stuff.
Script Doctor hangs out with us on Sundays on my channel.
Yeah, he
I
makes
was
his
so
way
sorry I
around
missed
YouTube.
yesterday's show. I had a
That's okay.
delayed pass out reaction to Rings of Power.
To Rings, yeah.
Other times he'll do that. He'll work really hard and then he'll just crash. It's kind of like me
I
in that
totally
respect.
understand. Totally
But yeah, so thank you for being here, Script, and we appreciate it. And yeah, if you head on over to Doomcock's anniversary stream, don't forget to tell him that we sent you. Other than that, we will see you all very soon tomorrow night. Mead, the Night's Edge After Dark. I will be there, so don't forget that. And yeah, do check out all these channels here. And thank you for being here, guys. And take care of yourselves and each other. And see ya.
Bye, everybody.